What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the CultureVerse podcast. We once again have Connor as a guest from St. Loud Studios. Connor, you can say hi once again.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. We're definitely excited. But today we are doing a review over the incredibly popular horror movie Weapons that just came out. Some people have been saying it's one of the best horror movies of the last decade. We will just kind of dive right into that without giving away any of our thoughts too early. But this is your spoiler warning. Obviously, we're going to dig into the movie. We're going to talk about things that happen. It's definitely one that has a lot of things to be spoiled. So please, if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. Come back to this episode afterwards and hear our thoughts on it. But yeah, I'm just gonna open the floor to anyone who wants to kind of
I actually have a
kick us off.
question to ask
Let's hear it.
Connor, kind of I directed to, because I
Oh,
know we reviewed Barbarian on the podcast, Craiger's last film.
We did.
Have you seen Barbarian and did you like it?
I have not seen it, but I will say that before this, I did check out your letterbox reviews, and I can tell you guys did not like that movie. And now I'm a little nervous what's gonna happen here. But I don't wanna step on anyone's toes. But um, no, I haven't seen any of Krager's work. I listened to some interviews before this today and yesterday, so I have an idea of where he's coming from as far as this movie goes. But that's about it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, just wanted to because I know we reviewed it and it was, yeah, like you said, not didn't go over well. But
Yeah.
so
Without like getting into my thoughts too much, because I still want to let other people get into them, but as probably the one who hated Barbarian the most here, I
I think
could
that's safe to
not
say.
believe that that film existed. I think it's safe to say this one's better than Barbarian.
It's a lot better than
Yeah,
yeah.
Barbarian.
I'll give it. I'll definitely give it that. It's
doesn't take much.
Barbarian is mind-boggling.
I haven't
We
seen it,
we
so I'm
And
not gonna.
yeah,
yeah,
no,
we
just
It's
don't
interesting.
spoil it for him.
check
He's
it
got
out. It's
to.
the
It has
first, yeah, no, the first
well,
half is incredible.
yeah, and I even say in my review,
Then the second half,
the structure for this movie is actually very similar to Barbarian, I would argue, where it's split kind of like in chapters or acts kind of type thing.
chapters.
Um,
Yep.
so it kind of has that Krieger formula, which I think he's probably going to start implementing a lot more because as much as we didn't like Barbarian, it is like a
Mhm.
horror classic to some capacity. Like it's regarded as one of the
So
best
people love it.
horrors of this
Hmm.
decade or whatever, or last decade. Um,
I
so
yeah.
I think that I kind of like how the structure. I also whenever we do Tarantino, I also love how it's split into chapters and stuff like this, and I just kind of am
Mhm.
a sucker for that. And I think that one of my favorite pros of this movie is how everything kind of blends together well, and how you can use that as a horror tool on its own, because you start to add throw in scares that could be there or couldn't be there based on what we've learned from the past. So like things that you know happened in Justine's story start happening in Archer's story or somebody else's like that.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh shit, well, this is gonna have to happen. And it kind of adds to that suspense, at least it for me, because you can kind of start playing with your own fears of what is gonna happen and how it could happen. So I think that's really
Yeah,
it was really well done and well executed in that range. So I was curious on maybe your thoughts on like the chapter style or something like that.
for sure. I think the strongest part of that for me was saving the last chapter to be Alex. I think that was you didn't know what character was coming when they were going to show up, and I think they kind of threw a bit of a curveball when they went with oh, I can't remember his name, the homeless guy that was getting chased.
James.
Oh, yeah, James.
Yes,
Yep,
yeah,
that's
James.
right.
That was kind of a curve, and I was like, okay, so now we're just kind of including like a bunch of different characters. So then when they come up with Alex at the end, you're like, okay, this is
Bring it
interesting
home.
because now we're gonna see what's been going on inside the house. So like I wrote down as well, Caleb, one of my biggest pros was the format of having these different characters and whatnot, because it's also like you mentioned with it was kind of exciting to see like how the things unfolded in a different way. Like one of the ones that got me the most interested was when it was Andrews and seeing how he ended up going after Justine at the gas station. I was so curious of he just comes running out of the woods. I was like, how did we get here? Like I want to, and then they immediately show you, and that's definitely interesting because it leaves you very curious to know how we got here. And the same thing happened with seeing the perspective of James and then of Paul as the cop and seeing the same exact scene, but this time we see it from James who's running and why he ended up going back to the police station at the end of Paul's story. So that was probably maybe my second biggest pro of the whole movie was using these character chapters to tie things together.
Caleb, I also wrote that down as literally the second thing I wrote down on my review. And um I like that you compared it to Barbarian. Not that we should compare every aspect of this movie to that movie, but in Barbarian, when they do kind of their skip arounds, like it more left me confused and annoyed that we were leaving something else behind. And in this movie, I really enjoyed it. And it's not like linear or yeah, not linear or chronological by any means, but it made perfect sense the way it went, and it just flowed very smoothly to me. And I was kind of expecting it to get a little rough at some point in terms of like things adding up and making sense, but it really never did for me. And so that was a nice surprise.
I'm gonna raise this as a hot take. I don't know if this movie works nearly as well if it's structured linearly, like in a linear sense. I don't know. It's really hard for a movie to do that. It's really hard for a movie to sort of build these expectations about making its plot almost out of order. Pulp Fiction does it really well, in my opinion. I think that's probably the best example.
Mm.
And I listened to an interview with Krager about a couple hours ago, and he talked about the influence that movies like Magnolia or Pulp Fiction had on this movie because of its large ensemble cast and the way that it splits its plot up into different chapters. And I think you could really feel that influence here. And again, I to reiterate, I don't think this movie works nearly as well if it's just in a chronological format. I think that a movie like this, and I don't know anything about Krager's style or anything like that. I haven't seen Barbarian, but if this is his style, I enjoy it. I think it works really well, and him and his team are very smart at editing these parts together.
Yeah, I agree completely. Tyler, were you gonna add something there?
No, I mean, honestly, I agree with just about everything you guys were saying. I actually had it written down as a pro for me, and I was going to bring it up, but Caleb already did it, so we're good with there. But yeah, everything that Connor just said with this movie would not work if it was structured the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I did question why they had us with the homeless guy. I was like, you really added him into this whole thing, but it worked out well.
He
I,
was funny.
I've seen some people say that they do kind of feel like the cop Paul and then James's additions aren't exactly necessary outside of bringing some humor, and then also Paul having that whole thing with his alcohol addiction. But I actually probably will lean to the side where I do feel like it was maybe not that I didn't like them, but it did feel like they are literally just there to bring some humor because everything with him and with Paul and James to me was funny. With him chasing him down, with him getting pricked and then socking him in the side of the
Dude,
mouth.
our reaction to that,
That
the
was
three of
hilarious.
us,
That was so funny. But and I mean, I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think of the characters in general because for me, the absolute like there were two characters in this movie that completely stole it for me. Josh Brolin, everything with
Mhm.
him with Archer was fascinating. I enjoyed following him, watching him try to figure this out. And then Carrie Christopher, Alex, the kid. I was shocked with his performance in the last chapter. It's hard to have a kid actor do good. He made me feel so genuinely bad for him. Like I just thought he did so good. But yeah, I just want to know if anyone wants to pick it up. What were your thoughts on the characters themselves?
Yeah, but actually, this is one of my few cons of this movie, is this exact point of where I feel like the time we get with each character, I like how it's structured, but I think sometimes you kind of want to get back to certain chapters. And I think that kind of happens when you have a wide range of that, like with
Hmm.
Magnolia, where when we got by
Hmm.
the time the movie ended, I felt like we hadn't seen Justine in like an hour and a half. Like it felt like we hadn't seen anything with her really dive into her what she was doing that much. And that's fine on its own, but it kind of felt like you start to get disconnected from these characters when you're not with them as much. And I think that like I said, it works, but I feel like as soon as you start branching it off into chapters, you kind of start to lose that touch with each character if you don't go back to them and combine it like in an effective manner. I don't think it was like ineffective necessarily, but it definitely feels like I wasn't like fully pulled towards like Justine or Archer because of them being at the beginning of the movie. Like I think, like you said, Josh Brolin had I think this is like his maybe his best. I think this might be his best performance. Maybe Thanos, probably. Maybe I didn't really know No Country for Old Men. I didn't really
No
love his
Country
performance.
for Old Men.
No, no, no. This is one of his best. And Julia Garner, I think Billy too. I
When they
didn't
kill
mind
him
her
off off
character.
screen.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I like
But
that.
That's not his fault.
going back to my original point, I just think that sometimes you lose a little bit of the touch with the characters. I think they were all good, but I think they could have been great.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do. I think they kind of turn Archer into the main character almost, which Julia Garner is supposed to be the lead. Like Justine is supposed to be the main character. So I actually do have that as a con that I did write down is Justine is not the main character and she's supposed to be. I mean, Archer becomes the main character. You watch him go from all these go to different families' houses, figuring out where your daughter went and trying to tie all that together. Justine's just kind of there for your horror elements, to be the one that gets chased, to be the one that gets to get hunted down, to be the one that gets you the good, which sucks because Julia Garner is a much better actress than let's just use her to be our horror element, in my opinion. So I was disappointed with her, but not it's not her fault, you know. I was disappointed with the writing for her, and it was like when she was there, she was good, and that's like awesome. But then we go right back to Archer, and then all of a sudden we're with Paul, the police officer, and then we're with the homeless person, and then we're back with Alex, and it was like, what happened to Justine? Like we just lost her, and she was the teacher of this all. Like she was the one that they all hated. So yeah, I agree with that, Caleb, that it kind of left you wanting more from certain characters, and we didn't ever get it from them. You know, it just kind of they all just kind of come together, and Alex is at the end.
I want to go up to bat for Paul. Listen, the James stuff, I get that chapter is not everyone's favorite. It is definitely more of a humor chapter.
Hmm.
Actually, there was supposed to be more scenes of James. So it's probably a good thing that it got some of those scenes got cut out. It felt a little fluffy.
Hmm.
Um, but Paul exists, and I get it. His chapter's not the most popular. I thought it was fine. Definitely not my favorite by any means, but it's to add humanity to Justine.
Hmm.
Justine is such an interesting character. And I think if you don't have the scene where she and Paul are at the bar and then you get a look into his life, she can seem a little flat. And I agree, she was not used enough. 100%. I'm with that. I think when she was there, she did great. I don't know exactly how this worked because she was in 3 movies this year. I don't know if that played a part at all. I mean, keep in mind that the news came out today, Pedro Pascal was
Yeah.
originally supposed to be Josh Brolin's part, and because of schedules, that
Hmm.
didn't happen. So maybe something happened with Julia Gardner. They had to rewrite some stuff. I don't know. I'm not saying that's true. But I will say that from what we got of Julia Gardner and what we got of, I don't know his actor's name, but the guy who plays Paul, I thought were great and I appreciated them. The James stuff I agree with, though. I think that was a little bit much. I don't think we needed that as much.
Hmm. For sure.
Han Solo. That's
Yeah,
the guy who plays him.
all nine, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's right.
From Solo. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen that
That
one.
that was really weird for me, by the way, when he first showed up, because I forgot that he was in it. I didn't really look at the cast. So I was like, is that fucking Han Solo in a
Funny
cop
every time. It's
uniform?
funny every time he shows up in something. I'm just like, there he is. There's Han. Um, I was
That's
gonna.
how Harrison Ford feels all the time. That's why he gets so
That's
tired of it.
Probably
exactly,
true.
that is literally to a
Um,
T how he feels.
as the guys here know, and Connor, I'm sure you could pick it up. I am not a horror movie fan. Like I watch
Really?
them. Yeah, I know, right? I watch them, and it's not like I don't. My biggest problem is I feel like horror is the one genre where we just ignore bad acting and bad writing, and we're like, well, it's just a horror movie. It's supposed to have bad writing, and it's supposed to be funny, and it's like that's stupid. That pisses me off. But so going into this, I was actually like incredibly excited. I thought that the trailers had done a very, very, very good job at building a lot of suspense. And I mean, just to kind of get the controversy cooking in this episode, despite saying a lot of things that I liked, there were a lot of things that I did not like with this movie. One of the biggest is to me, and I don't know if I'm just like sick or something, this just wasn't scary. I wasn't scared during this movie. I mean, there were maybe some uncomfortable moments here and there, but other than like 3 jump scares, I kind of felt like the whole concept was a letdown in a way where like I wanted it to be way more than just the ant like that's a whole other thing I'll get into later. But I just felt like it could have been a lot more than this ending that we got, where it just wasn't scary to me. And when I go to a horror movie, I want to be scared. Like that's the goal. And I was laughing more than I was afraid. And it almost ended up being a dark comedy like thriller that just happened to be a little scary here and there. So I'll leave it open for you guys to go there. I don't know if I'm just like crazy, but this movie did not feel scary to me.
No, you're right. This
I
movie
heard
was
your ass.
Okay, Tyler
Sorry,
gets jump
there
scared
was
from
a
like
couple of
normal
jump scares
movies on
that
his
got me,
lap.
yes, but overall this movie is more funny than it is scary, and I'm gonna take a step back towards the character conversation. I'm gonna agree with Caleb with the whole we don't get enough with these characters, And this kind of goes back to Gabe's point about how the cop and James were I don't think you used the word unnecessary, but you used humor, and that's definitely
Mhm.
what they're there for, in my opinion. And I think those two characters were unnecessary for the movie. And that again jumps forward to this point of how this movie is more of a comedy than it is a horror. And that's been a big problem with horror movies as of late as well. Like Together, that movie was more funny than it was scary. And like, oh my gosh. I can't think of other ones, but like that's just a major problem I've been
Final
having with
Destination
movies, like
Bloodlines.
what?
Mhm.
Final Destination Bloodlines.
Oh,
Definitely
I
too
saw
We
that.
funny.
didn't
I
saw it. We didn't
loved
Death
saw
it,
of,
but
that.
it's too
I never
funny.
saw it,
Death
but
of a
I believe it.
Unicorn.
But
And that is
Not very good.
that's advertised as a comedy though.
That one is supposed
Yeah.
to be funny.
So is Companion. So yeah.
that
Oh, Tyler, go.
I was gonna say that's been a big problem with horror movies as of late is they're not going for this horror aspect. They're trying to creep you out a little bit and then add in the comedy. And it's like, why can't we just go all in on the horror, please?
And the trailers for this did. The trailers for this
Mhm.
felt really unsettling. Like just the concept of these kids just leaving their house. And Caleb, I'll let you go after this. I know you were going to say something, but one thing that really pissed me off was the very first 5 minutes of this movie. We get a ridiculous amount of exposition for no reason, just this little girl telling us what's happening. And then the scene of the kids running, we're playing like R&B, smooth jazz music. Like it was not scary. It wasn't smooth jazz, but it was like
It was
R&B,
Beware of
like
Darkness by George Harrison. That's like, pretty good song. I mean, I
no,
don't,
I'm not saying it's a bad song, but it's not scary. It's not
Okay.
scary at all. It's like I saw someone say this felt like something that James Gunn would use in one of his movies. Like it
He
just
has
didn't
used George Harrison.
like my point is it's like they turned music people have proven like if you change the music in a scene, it can take all the horror away. This did the exact like this that's exactly what it did. Like it for me, and that's just something that bothered me as well was the trailer. I was like shit, this looks really scary. And then in the first 5 minutes, we get this scene of the kids running out, but it's to like not eerie, scary music at all. And I was just kind of like, am I supposed to be like low key? I'm kind of laughing at some of them because they look funny when they're running because we're just listening to this music that's just not scary. Like
They were Naruto running the entire way.
or Naruto running the whole time. So that was another thing with like Tyler, you mentioned like the fact of it not being scary at times. Like the trailer built up a scary movie and the horror wasn't there. But Caleb, I know you were going to say something. I'm sorry if I cut you off and you lost your train of thought.
No,
I hope you did.
one of my things is like tonally, this movie is so interesting because I think this movie is at its best when it is a mystery thriller, and I think that's what the first two acts are used, and the third act is what the whole, I would say more of an absurdist approach, not really necessarily a comedic approach, but that's like the thing. The substance is ridiculous and so weird, and that's like a new horror trend, and it's I feel iffy on it for this movie. I didn't think it was like horrible.
I hate it.
It was hilarious. I really thought it was hilarious, and I think it was intentionally
Yeah.
hilarious. Like the time like when he's throwing the zombie James like 5 times, like that was hilarious to me. I thought that
Yeah,
was when he was
that's funny.
he kept getting up, he was just chucking him. Like that has to be intentional. Like
Yeah.
that has to. So it's interesting because the mystery intensity
Mhm.
is the best part. Like the first two acts, I think are the best. And I actually, this is my second con, really my only other con. I think that this movie just feels, and I really can't explain it that well, but it just feels underwhelming. It kind of feels like I don't want to say like the writing is bad, but it kind of felt like we could have reached heights that would have been like elite. I think it was really good or
Yes.
great,
The
even
potential
based
was
on the
there.
rating. I really like the premise. It just
Mhm.
something about it kind of feels I don't want to say cheap, but like it kind of falls back on like a horror thing where it's like the witch is doing magic and it's scary. And that's nothing where I actually don't think it's as scary as it's supposed to be, but I do think there are scary moments. Like when she's sleeping in the car, I still like this is kind of like the scariest moment of the car when she's sleeping in the
Mm.
car and it
It's a great
opens the
scene.
door and it's nothing's happening. And then
great
she
scene.
walks out and she's like, that is kind of haunting. Like I got goosebumps when that scene happened.
That's a great scene. No, that's an
And
incredible scene. And when you
but
hear the car door open, that's
oh
really
yeah,
good.
there
He's talking
was
about her coming out of the front of the house, in which you laughed at.
I did.
You know, when she waddled out of the
I
house
did
with the
laugh at
knife
that
above her
because she
head.
looked like a penguin. She looked waddling
but
like she
like
just
the
shit
you can like
herself.
hear the
He's talking.
eerie
Caleb's talking
violins.
about when they get in the car and
That
she
that's
cuts her
that
hair.
scene is
Yes.
very good.
That entire scene's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, when she gets in the back of the car and cuts her hair, like
Yeah.
that's creepy. That's That's good.
So my
But
main
like
point there is that the mystery thriller part of this movie is the best. I think the first two acts are the best. I
I
think
think
it
that's
leads to
fair.
a maybe underwhelming third act, but personally, to kind of tie it all together, I didn't think the comedic aspect was bad. I think it was weird tonally for me, and I don't think if it had stayed horror, I think it could have raised my score, but I don't think it necessarily hurt it. I was kind of like fine with it to an extent. I also think the resolution is kind of lame and disappointing, where it just kind of ends. Um, that was kind of I think it might be just tied the ribbon of like the ending. I thought it was the third act was just probably the weakest of the three. So that's kind of like my whole thoughts on like the third act and the tone of all of it.
mhm, mhm. I mean, I definitely agree with the whole the what was the word you used? Did you say underwhelming?
Yeah, the third act just
Underwhelming
kind of
is
like the
yeah.
ending just kind of felt underwhelming. Like as the mystery is like being
Underwhelming, yeah.
told to us, it's kind of like it was like a paint by numbers of like how this could have went, and it's like okay,
Underwhelming is a perfect word for me, especially with talking about how much I love the trailer and whatnot. But like, I was expecting such a darker reason for why this is happening. And I'm not saying that's not dark. I mean, she's kidnapping kids. Like, that's dark. That's super dark. But like, then they're just standing in her basement, and it's just kind of like I just expected something awful, like genuinely horrific, and it's just not really scary. Underwhelming is exactly how I would explain that because you want it like that sounds terrible, but like you want it to be bad, like you want it to be worse, so it scares you. Which again, like that's that sounds horrible. Like I wanted the kids to get like no, that's not what I'm saying. Like, but I did want it to be more than what it was. And the whole movie, Caleb, you mentioned, I agree with you. The whole mystery thriller is great, but that builds your expectations super high, and then it's just like this ending that's just they got her. I mean, and they even shift to comedy in that scene when
Oh,
she's
they
like
got
running
her.
away from all the kids. Like, yeah, okay, it's
That
funny,
scene
but
was so
like,
stupid.
why did we? I just didn't feel like we needed to go back to comedy again. Like, it feels like this movie shouldn't be advertised as a horror movie. It's just not a horror movie to me. So I don't know. I like the world underwhelming.
I didn't watch a single trailer for this movie.
Mm,
Trailers are
So
good.
I don't understand it. I know what you're saying, but I don't have any expectation of this movie going in. I heard about it from a critic who raved about it. His whole review on Letterboxd was, and I quote, "God damn it, yes." That's all I
I
knew
think I've
was
I
seen that.
saw
that
that
he
review.
liked it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I saw that.
one of my favorite podcasters, Sean Fennessy, he's a great guy.
Did not
Um,
follow him.
he's awesome. Really interesting reviews. But either way, I did not know what to expect from this movie going in. So I hear your criticism.
mhm,
From my point of view, the movie enters as a David Fincher-esque crime thriller, eases its way into that horror element, very, I don't know, John Carpenter-esque, and then we just end it with a loud, explosive, violent gore fest. Basically, the last 5, 10 minutes.
mhm,
To me, that I enjoyed it, and I get it. If you guys were expecting a horror movie, I don't find horror movies very scary. So horror is very subjective, just like comedy is. It's obviously the opposite. Both are very subjective.
mhm,
To me, the tense moments were tense. I was very nervous in those moments. I don't jump at jump scares really. Never something that really scared me all that much, but I enjoyed what we got. And again, if you guys were expecting horror and you didn't get that, I'm sorry. I feel bad because I had a great time. But I don't know how that sounds, but it's not meant to be an epithet. But honestly, I had a great time and I love the shifting tones. I think genre bending is super hard to do. I watched a movie recently called Oh Hi.
Mm.
Pretty small movie, small budget. It did that, the genre bending stuff, but it didn't fully succeed on that. And that's what I didn't love about that. Again,
mhm.
another movie I didn't know anything about going in. But I think that's a good comparison because genre bending is extremely hard and blending all sorts of things. Again, that Fincher stuff, that John Carpenter stuff, even Paul Thomas Anderson to an extent. That's really hard to do. And to me, the movie stuck the landing. But if you guys disagree, I'd love to hear more about that.
Connor, I just want to preface and say that I don't hate the ending at all. I think it's mostly
Hmm.
fine. I just think it could have been better. I think it was good, but it could have been
Hmm.
elite. So they're probably more against it than I am, but I just want to make that clear.
I want to ask you just one question. What do you dislike more? The explanation of the lore or the ending itself? That's my question
Oh,
because
the
those are
Oh,
ending
two
for
different
me.
Connor,
things.
you don't want to know
Yeah.
that answer from me.
Well, I'd love to hear from all of you. I'm asking
But
all of you, really. I'd love to know what you think because those are two very different things that someone made a good point about that to me. Some
yeah,
people don't like the ending, but they really don't like the explanation, and the ending's actually okay. So those are two different things. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that.
I would tend to agree with what you just said, and this is going to come as a huge shock to you, but I would have loved to have seen an origin to the the witch.
Yeah,
And
Oh,
yeah, I
really?
would have loved to see. It's more for me, I think
10-part Netflix
10-part
series.
Netflix series. Bring it
God,
now. Give me a prequel trilogy. Um, my
True.
point is I'm actually like more afraid when I see like what's fully going on, like the curtains fully pulled. Like
Mhm.
a lot of people are more afraid when they're left to see things in their imagination.
Hmm.
And I'll use Smile as an example, where it kind of like teases with you the whole movie
Mhm.
at what this demon's doing, and then at the very end, it just rips it right off in front of you, and you just see the whole deal. And so for me, I'm gonna agree. I don't necessarily have a problem with the way the movie ends. But I just think with such a phenomenal concept, by the way, because I think they set it up extremely well. I really like the atmosphere and the vibe. And a lot of horror movies don't have good acting. This one has really good acting. And so I really liked the way we set it up and the premise, just about everything. And I just felt like we could have done more. I don't know what that necessarily would be, so I'm not gonna like shit all over the movie. That's just something I was kind of hoping for. And so yes, I would have loved more explanation of the lore, how things were working, maybe the reason why. I was telling Gabe, I was thinking of horrible things when she was like, I'm sick and the kids will help me. I was like, she's gonna eat some kids. This is
I
gonna be
thought,
Hansel and Gretel.
You literally talks
This is
about
gonna be
consumption in
horrible.
the movie.
yeah, I thought that too.
And then nothing in that matter happened. She just basically had like a clone army, which was I mean that worked fine. I mean chasing them around, I was laughing. The movie was way funnier than I thought, and I that made me have a good time. It maybe wasn't my expectation, but I was still enjoying it. So I felt kind of conflicted about it. I feel like this is yet another movie where, given time and maybe a rewatch, I might see it even more favorably because once again watching it for what it is rather than what I want it to be. Superman, which Connor is now at a 4 star, by the way.
He did raise it. He's up
Open
to a
my
four
eyes.
star now.
I've seen it 3 times in theaters now.
Oh,
So
I've seen it. I saw it a third time also, so
Yeah,
I
me
got you.
too.
yeah, I
I think we
want to
all
see it
did.
a fourth time. So it
Damn
yeah,
right you
it
did.
addicted me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a good
Uh,
time.
to answer your question, Connor, I'm gonna put on my badge of hating horror movies for this one, and I'm gonna say kind of both.
Okay.
I don't like the ending, but I think it's because of how much better it could have been to me, and that's because of the lack of lore. So my biggest issue with the lack of lore is we're just totally left to kind of assume what she's doing. She talks about this sickness that she has, yet we're never told what it is or how any like I don't need an entire hour of the movie just dedicated to teaching us about her, but I would have liked her to just like tell him something or like the scene where she says no talking today, like we could have shown something that she was doing in that scene to kind of like help us understand more. Maybe it's dark magic, maybe she's like using these runes on the floor or something, but instead she just kind of like tells him go steal shit from your classmates and then he leaves. Like I just think we're left to assume that essentially she's a witch. She's sick. She I'm assuming she takes essentially the life force from people, and that makes her better. That's about all we
like
get. That is all
Mother
we get.
Gothel.
That's literally all we kind of like Mother Gothel. Yeah, actually. That's kind of like that's pretty much all we get. And I know
Yeah.
Jack, you mentioned it, and I know a lot of people mention this too with horror movies. Like they think it's scarier when you're left to come up with your own reasoning. I call that lazy writing. Uh, Straightforward. I do. You're making the audience do the work because you didn't do the work. And it's not like I said, I didn't need to know what her middle name was and what year she was born. Like I don't need to know all that. But instead of just having us assume she's a witch and assume she's taking these people to be healthy, I just wish we just got an extra. And this movie could have been like, I don't think it would have hurt from being a little bit longer. Like, I don't think it's unbearably long. Like,
Hmm.
it doesn't feel super long. Or I think you could cut out a lot of the James chapter or cut that down. And you just don't need that. And instead, you can replace that with just simply telling us what Gladys is and why she's doing what she's doing, other than she's sick, so she needs people. Like, I get that, but like Jack said, I was expecting significantly worse than just these. She just makes them stand there. Like, I straight up agree. I was expecting her to be eating these children like that. And that was somehow going to be helping her. And I was like, that is awful. Like, I'm waiting for that scene. If you've seen The Taking of Deborah Logan, there's a scene a lot like that that is awful. It is one
That
of the
scene
most
is
uncomfortable
terrible.
horror things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I was waiting for that in this movie. And instead, she goes down to the basement and they're all just like standing there looking at each other. I was like,
Hey
okay.
man, that would scare me if I went
I
down
mean,
the basement.
it's weird, but it's just not scary. Like, it's
If you
not.
saw that in real life, you'd be like, "Oh, that's strange."
I would
That's
definitely,
not.
That's
I would definitely
strange.
leave, but it's not like horror to me. That's not like, oh shit, and like the other thing is, if we're gonna go down that route, like every movie ever could make you
Yeah,
uncomfortable in like
it's a good
action. So
point.
it's like, but yeah, obviously it's not cool. I'm not glad to see that, but the lack of the lore ended up making the ending feel where I was like, yes, I'm having a decent time and it's funny watching them chase her down. It's funny watching them. I do remember laughing when you can like hear their footsteps coming up the stairs and then watching them like jump out of the window and shit. I was like, oh my, like that's funny. Except it's just to me, it's just borderline dumb.
Mm.
Like, it's just not. I don't know, Tyler. I know you were also thinking it was
It was
I was just
stupid.
locked in for a
I
second.
thought the whole scene of the kids chasing her, I thought was so stupid, and it really
okay. I figured I could tell you were in that realm.
and just the fact that the movie just straight up just ends out of
That
nowhere.
too.
It was. I thought the ending was really poorly done. Lore wise, I was fine with it, but just the
Mhm.
way it was structured and that final teardown was not it.
Well, we're kind of left to believe that the way it works is the way I've been seeing people talk about is if you were like, so Josh Brolin's character Archer, he had just been put under or whatever, and
Yeah, we
then
talked
he
about that.
just got
Mhm.
brought back, so he was fine. But essentially, I've seen two different thoughts. One thing people are saying, and this is what we were talking about, Jack, was that it's just going to take a longer time for the kids to be back to normal. The other thing I've seen is the longer you were under, the more they took from you. So those kids are never
So it
coming
doesn't
back.
come back.
Their life, their
But
soul is
the
gone.
one kid started talking again.
Which kid?
So like
They,
it,
they, they did say
they
a couple
said a
kids have
kid
started
started
talking.
Yeah.
A couple of
talking.
kids did start
So I
talking.
bet
Well,
I bet they
so,
slowly
but
regained.
all the kids were brought in at the same time. So how does that work?
Which mean,
All the kids were brought in at the same time. So if
I don't
it's a
know.
time
Maybe some of
expansion, they
them
all
learn
start
quicker than
talking. So
others.
it's just kind of like, well, this is what I mean. We needed to know more. Like, we
We
just
need an origin
didn't
story.
know enough.
Stop talking.
That's like Jack. You gotta get like a hat, like a T-shirt. We need an
I need
origin
a
story.
give
But
me the origin.
and that ties in with that abrupt ending, Tyler, where it's just kind of like Archer's carrying his kid, and they talk about how Alex now lives with a different aunt, but his parents are still being fed soup, and it's just kind of like, okay, like what's next? And then it just goes to the credits, and you're like, they're
Weapons
gone.
2 is what's next, buddy.
Oh, yes, that is true. That is true. Caleb, I'll let you answer Connor's question as well. We kind of all
I
answered
kind
it.
of don't remember what the question was
It
necessarily.
was it was all like
It
Connor
was if you
said.
had beef
The
with
lore
the
or
lore
just the ending.
explanation versus the ending, or both.
Like the exposition at the beginning of the movie, or like
No, just
No,
ending.
the
no,
lack.
the
Ending.
Do
The
you
The
have
way
a
lack
it's
of
explained.
do you have a
at the
problem
end?
with
yeah. No,
Yes.
the lack of explanation for the witch's abilities
do you
Oh,
have a
or his
problem
or
with the
backstory.
lore of the characters, or is it just you just think the ending's not very
no.
good?
Or is
Neither,
it?
both.
I think
Yeah.
in the moment I didn't really have a problem with the lore. I kind of was just making assumptions, which I suppose I took less problem with than maybe Gabe or Jack or Tyler did.
Definitely me.
Like they mentioned something like she says like overconsumption, and she even says like a subtle hint where she's like, I could even make them eat each other. So I was kind of under the assumption she was like using them to actually eat them, but they just can't show kids getting eaten on TV or on movies. I don't know.
What?
They
Like kids
definitely would
being
have
Never
shown.
mind.
eaten,
They
like
definitely could have shown that.
Never mind. Sorry. Yeah.
so I don't know. I didn't really have a problem with that. I think it would have been interesting to maybe see like how she was doing it, but I didn't really think that in the moment. I wasn't like, man, what? How the hell did she do that? Like I don't know. I was for me that was really what I was thinking, which that's just my personal thing. The ending I did think was underwhelming. I think it just flat up just kind of ends, which fine. Like I think it really could have like screeched well if there was like a 20-minute moment where they were just like showing kids in the hospital. Like I think that could have been like a waste of time. And that point I probably would have been wanting the credits to come. I don't know how you could have twisted that at the end, where if you could showing them like rehabbing or explaining it. But then I really hate when movies over explain things. I think there's a fine line. There's a fine line where you have to cross where it's like them telling you what just happened and kind of just everything is abstract. It's there's a whole thing where it's like
Mhm.
kind of that. And I was okay with the ending. Like I said, I think it could have been better. The whole part with the third act, I just feel very like shrug. It could have been way better. So I think I would probably say neither, but also not like in a positive way.
He's gone.
Fair.
No, we're good. We're good.
More like I would say neither, not like in a positive way, but neither not in a negative way. So it's like
Um,
Okay.
so yeah.
I will say about the lore, I wouldn't want like a flashback story of the witch like with her
Agreed.
power or whatever.
That's good to know.
I agree with Caleb. I was loving like the mystery thriller aspect of Archer digging and finding stuff. So if they could have like uncovered like similar cases and stuff
Mhm.
like through him
Mhm.
And
or
what
maybe
Smile does.
someone else, or I guess that is kind of what Smile does. So I guess you don't want to be like unoriginal or
No, I'm
anything,
saying
but
that's a good thing. Like,
just digging and finding these horrible things would be, I think, a pretty interesting way to do that. Once
mhm.
again, the I didn't come up with the story, I didn't direct it, so I can't really
Didn't?
like tell. I can't really be like,
Well,
you
Tyler
have
is
to
Jordan
change your
Peele.
whole movie and it will be better with my vision.
Overrated?
Like that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Mhm.
Jack, if you made this
I'm just
movie, it would have been
brainstorming.
5 parts, and it would have been a
Okay, you know
universe
what?
of movies,
Hey,
and then it
you
would
know
be in the
what?
middle. There'd be a
Weapons
crossover.
Five.
We would have had an
Yeah.
Hey,
exposition, a prologue, all of it.
just so you know, Connor, since I have bragging rights, we all wrote our own horror movie or scripts
All
for
right,
our own
buddy.
movies, and
Um,
I won the contest.
we didn't
So
even write a horror.
Wow.
We didn't all get horror
He
movies.
paid
So
off the judge,
I
so
paid off the judge. But
Hey,
Gabe, you're producing my horror movie.
Well, I
good
also gave you
job.
the cast and the genre, so
Okay, yeah, fair
Oh,
enough.
all right.
I have two
Some
things. I have two
beef
things
going
I
on.
want to say. So
That was a great episode.
one is more of like it ties into the lore whole thing. They don't explain the dream scenes well or at all, actually. How is the aunt able to be in the dreams of Justine and Josh Brolin's character? Because before they have never seen her and she doesn't have anything attached to them at all. They just appear.
mhm.
Yeah, but
She
she's
just
a
appears.
witch.
That
Ah, ah,
that doesn't help.
Now
twist.
I'm baiting him.
So I was questioning if you guys had any thought on that because I'm
Honestly,
so
I wasn't thinking about it because I was laughing at Josh Brolin going, "What the fuck?"
yeah, that
When he
was good.
woke up,
I
that
mean,
had me
it's
laughing out
it's
oh yeah,
loud
that
in the
was
theater.
hilarious.
here. It's you're not gonna get reasoning because it's not there to be explained. It's there to be horror elements.
Hmm.
It's there to scare you. It's there to be scary moments. There is no explanation. It's she's a witch, so she did it, and you're supposed to get scared like that. That's it, and that's what a lot of movies. I mean, there's movies that do that where they can't exactly connect something, so they're just trying to like feed into the element of the genre. And this movie, obviously, as we've mentioned, isn't exactly scary. So any chance to make something scary, they jumped on it immediately. And dreams, horror movies eat up the concept of someone in a dream and walking around and peeking around the corner, like the whole thing with Archer in his kid's room, like all that, and which ends up not actually being a jump scare when he's like talking to his kid who's like sleeping. Is there even a jump scare in that
God,
scene?
oh well,
There
no, it cuts
is
to
There
her
is.
face. It cuts
When
to
he
her
says "I
face.
love you,"
Yeah,
He's like
as he's saying "I
doing
love
this,
you."
and then
Oh,
it
because
cuts to
that's
her
when he wakes
face.
up and he's like, "What the fuck?" Yeah. Okay, fair
Mhm.
enough. But that's my point. Is like
Actually, time it well.
there is not an explanation. It's just horror. At least that's the way I look at it. Is
okay.
it's there to be horror.
Okay, my second thing is, and this is more so talking to Caleb, maybe Connor well if you've seen the movie. Um, I walked out of this movie thinking this is almost a frame for frame of Long Legs, but worse.
This is very similar to Longlegs, and I think
This
that's
is like
this
almost frame for
another
frame.
another thing is I think this movie wears its inspirations on its sleeve, like The Shining.
Mhm.
I
He
think
did
it has
say in an interview that
the
he just
elements of
blatantly stole from
Smile,
The Shining.
like the scene where she's walking in the liquor store and it's tracking like that, and you can see her following. That's
Mhm.
that's a Smile.
Mhm.
Smile does it like 10 times, where you can see
Yes.
the thing is in the background and it's like chasing you, and it's like, oh shit, that's kind of haunting. Same thing with like Longlegs, the mystery thriller aspect of it when he's like in the and it's like dark or other parts of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's 100% Longlegs inspired. I
And the way
yeah,
they designed the villain, it's
yes.
just it's almost
Oh yeah,
it's
the magic
mhm.
aspect of it. Yeah,
And the
100%.
controlling of families and everything. It was just so similar.
Yeah.
I've heard people say that on TikTok. I've heard a lot of people saying that. And then in an interview, they literally mentioned that uh, Zach literally said that there are like things that he just straight up took from The Shining. He was like, I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie. He was
when
like,
her
I
face is
used
in the
things from The
door,
Shining,
yeah,
or maybe not took, but clearly inspired. And that's not. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that's bad. Like you can take inspiration,
yeah.
but I'd be interested to see. Jack and I still need to watch Long Legs, so I'd be interested to
It's
see if it's really that
it,
similar
Even
in terms.
the camera work, and that's one of
Mhm.
my last notes I wanted to say. Is I really want to get to this. The way Zach Kreger uses the camera in this movie, I think, is incredible. He's almost able to make
Okay.
it into its own character, where every movement with the camera is just well framed to add horror, add tension. The tension he can use with the camera and how he frames it. It's very technical, but I just loved how he can. It's very rare for like a person to use the camera and make it like its own entity. And especially in horror, I think that was really good. Like all the one shots, the tension you can create with like I said, like the when it's tracking Justine and Deborah's in the background, like that's another like fantastic camera work moment. Um, I just think that this movie doesn't give you the satisfaction of the scare immediately too, which like I guess like Gabe said, it's not that horror scary. I would actually go to battle that this is more of a mystery movie. I wouldn't even frame it as a horror. I'm kind of disappointed they did. But this movie does have great tension. I think that's one of the best things you can say. The silence in this movie is very loud. There are multiple moments where it's just completely silent. You can only hear the hum in the theater. So, like, that's one of my last notes. It's not a big thing. You don't have to even comment on it, but I just wanted to say, get it out there that the way he
I
uses the
won't.
camera in this movie, A plus,
I
A
mean,
plus.
I've been ripping like the movie in a bunch of ways, but the scene we were talking about with when she comes out of the door and gets in the car, that's one of the better horror scenes I've seen in a
Yeah,
long time. It
Mhm.
is incredibly uncomfortable watching her come up to the window and stop, and you're just like, what is she gonna do? And then seeing her go off screen, and now you're like,
there's even the camera right
oh
there.
fuck,
The
like
way he frames
she's
it.
off screen right now. That's such a bad feeling. And then you just hear the car door open. And you're like, why is your door unlocked, bro? And then just the slow hand coming in with the scissors. And at the time, you don't know what she's doing. So you're like, what is she gonna do? And just the uncomfortable of like just cutting her hair. It's like, why did she do that? Like that scene
Yeah,
is like that's horror 101. Everything. And I know Jack mentioned I did laugh. Like I thought it was funny the way she looked when she first walks out of the door. But notice how long between the door opening and her walking out. There was like
Mhm.
10 seconds because you just
Mhm.
had to sit there and just sit in it and just watch. And you're like, what is gonna like
I
that's the
was,
goal is to make you like think about what could possibly come out of that door, which is probably why I laughed a little bit when it was just her waddling. But that laugh quickly turned into a oh shit. Okay, she's getting really close. Okay, she stopped. Oh good, she's out of frame. She's out of frame. And then the door opens, and then you're like, oh my God, like this is not fun anymore. And that scene alone was like, I think that was the best scene
I
by
agree.
far in this movie. So Caleb, the camera work, yeah, the camera work was good. Pretty undeniable there.
yeah, I don't think I'm breaking any ground when I say this camera's he knows how to use a camera. I mean, he's a
Mhm.
clear professional. The way he uses pans and tilts and tracking and all that.
Yeah.
Not many directors can do that. It's pretty difficult to do all that. Pretty underrated camera use it's kind of a blinking you'll miss it type of thing. But when the aunt first shows up to the house, I think it's the last chapter. The camera is placed on the door almost as if it were the kid's eyes, and as he opens the door, it pans almost as
Mhm.
if you are watching what he is seeing live, and that
Mhm.
is so hard to master that because you don't know what you're about to see. And then there's this the small jump scare. I don't know if it's really a jump scare, but the reveal of the ant with no hair looking directly at you,
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
that
a
scene.
great reveal. And I love again my the best shot of the movie is definitely what you guys were just talking about. That's incredibly hard to do. Use it's a zoom. He zooms out. He moves, pans, all that. That's tough. But the on the door, that reveal is so hard to do. And if you mess that up, it just looks dumb. But
Mhm.
he did it perfectly. And there's like 100 of those shots in this movie. Stuff that's like you don't even really realize it unless you really pay close attention. You're like, how did he do that? There's like it's pans and all that. It's just that's my favorite part of the movie.
Mhm.
I'm glad we agree because
Um,
it's great.
I would say before we end up getting to our reviews, I do have a question I want to pose that's like kind of related
Mhm.
Hmm.
because okay, because we kind of had talked a little bit. I know Gabe mentioned it specifically. Tyler talked about it as well about this movie not necessarily like truly scaring them. And so I'm not like trying to call people out here, but I'm just interested to ask, like, what's the most recent scary movie that actually scared you? Then, like, because I was trying to think about it, and I was like, they don't really scare me that much anymore either. And I
No,
don't know if it's
too.
because I'm desensitized because I love horror, so I watch them all the time, or if it's because, I'm a grown ass man now. Like maybe that's why. And so I was just trying to think of what actually has me scared in the theater. It's not entirely related, but
I think one thing is like I get what you're saying. Like, don't get me wrong, I get what you're saying.
yeah.
But I feel like there's just you can just tell the difference between this and a movie like Bring Her Back that's trying to scare you. Like Bring Her Back, I Connor, have you seen Bring Her Back? Shit. The
That
scene,
was the
Just
one I
go
You
was
can
trying
just
to
ahead. Just
say.
go
say
ahead.
say
hey,
say a
It's
the,
word
fine.
or
the
two, and we'll
scene
know what
with
you're
the
talking about.
kitchen knife,
Yeah,
one of the
yeah,
worst that made
that's
me
horrible.
truly
But
uncomfortable.
Well, that's what
But
I was
yeah,
gonna ask. Are
so
you talking about
So
horror
so
or
being
grotesque?
uncomfortable, yeah,
to
being
me
uncomfortable and disturbed is
those
more
go
so what I
together.
get
Like
now.
I get disturbed as well. And this movie didn't disturb me. Like maybe it did a little bit.
Okay.
Like there were definitely like I was talking about when you see all the kids lined up, like, yeah, that's definitely like, ooh, I don't like that. But nothing close to the kitchen knife scene and nothing close. And like Bring Her Back had jump scares that scared me. Um, Connor, do you see Together?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm seeing it next
So
week.
there's the scene
In the
with
hallway?
the no, there's a scene yes. There's a scene with the bed in the bed.
Hmm.
You guys,
Oh yeah,
yes,
yeah,
with the
yeah,
bed
yeah,
sheet.
yeah. Yeah,
That
they're
Oh
they're
that
yeah,
trying
scared
yeah,
pretty
me.
yeah,
hard
That
there.
scared me.
yeah.
Tyler, I remember you jumping on that one too. Like
Yeah,
you and I
Tyler didn't
both
like
jumped
that.
at that one. So Bring Her Back scared me. Together had moments that scared me. Tyler mentioned it. Smile 2 definitely had some good
Dude, both the
scares.
Smile movies, those were the
Smile
main ones I could come up with.
Smile has me. I've never been more afraid than watching Smile. Smile was the most afraid I've ever been watching a horror movie. So I get what you're saying, Jack. Like, there's definitely that
Okay.
level of like, yeah, I'm less afraid. But this movie just felt different in the sense of they weren't even really trying to
I
make
don't.
you
Yeah,
feel afraid.
I,
Like
I just wanted to make
it
sure
just
that your take was like
it's not just like
linear
I'm not
with it.
afraid.
Like, okay,
I'm not
yeah.
Billy Tough guy over here. Like, yeah, I don't get
Yeah,
afraid
that's
anymore.
what I
Like,
just
no,
wanted to make sure that that was
I
what,
get afraid. Like
yeah,
You know
clarify.
me.
look at my TikTok feed in the middle of the night. I get afraid. Like that shit's awful. Like there are scary things. Don't get me wrong, but this movie, like what Caleb said, I almost don't feel like this should be categorized as a horror in a way. Like horror should be like the third genre behind thriller and like comedy and then horror because the goal of this movie isn't to scare you, it's to keep you intrigued about what the mystery is. That's the goal. And they do good at that. Like they keep you intrigued throughout the whole movie. You want to know why this happened. But at no point am I like on the edge of my seat because I'm really
Oh,
afraid of what's going to
really?
come next. In terms of horror, I'm on the edge of my seat to figure out what happens, but like I'm not like putting my hands over my eyes because I'm so afraid of what's going to happen next because of a jump scare. There's never
That
a
that was
moment
Smile. That
there
was
is not horror. Smile. I had my knees tucked up to my chest. I had my like that shit was. That's the one time when we all looked down the line and all of us looked like we were 8 years old. Like that was horrible. This movie, there was never a moment where I was covering my eyes because I'm afraid of what's coming next. Like it just didn't happen to me. So I get what you're saying, Jack. I do, but it
Hey, I just want to make sure you're doubled down on it.
I'm
And
yes,
it
it's not
wasn't
a
like
I'm
a
afraid of horror. I get
generalization.
scared. I'm not some unscarable guy. I get scared.
Just so the people know.
I promise I get scared. Very very consistent. The trailer. Okay. Ah, the trailer definitely had me scared. Like the trailer had me feeling more. The trailer had me more scared than I was at any point in the movie. I'll put it that way. Just the trailer alone had me more on edge and more anxious than I think the movie ever ended up making me feel, other than the scene we talked about. That scene was easily the best scene in the movie. That was discomfort. Just the camera work was incredible. Connor mentioned especially the panning. The panning was phenomenal. He panned every time he would pan from left to right. It felt like you were just waiting for something to be there, and it wasn't, and that's what was uncomfortable because then you had to watch as he continued the scene on, not knowing what was coming next. So the camera work alone did its best, but then the contents just felt I was laughing so much that it just you forget you're even in a horror movie. Like you're thrilled to see where the story goes, and then something hilarious happens, and then it's like there's just nothing that comes after that scares the shit out of you. So that's my take on that. Tyler, I know you were naming someone I took Smile 2 from you. That's on me, but uh, I don't know. What are your takes? What are your thoughts on? Are you just desensitized to horror, Tyler?
Well, you know me, I get scared by just about everything, but it's not the jump scares that really sets me, it's the environment that we're in a lot of times.
Hmm.
And so I actually thought of this after we watched together. I'm like, when was the last time I truly felt uncomfortable while watching a horror movie?
Hmm.
And looking back on it, it was Smile 2 and Long Legs were the last two movies where I sat in the theater and I'm like, I don't want to be here right now because
Not
it's
the
so
monkey.
Nope, not the monkey. The
definitely not the
monkey,
monkey.
not the monkey.
So, but and those came out what a year over a
Long
year
Legs was
ago
23.
last
now.
year.
Yeah.
So it horror for me is on a downslope.
I think that this movie has moments where I'd actually probably disagree with Gabe, where I would not like cover my eyes in fear or anything, but I think there was well timed tension to create some horror. But as terms of like gutturally scared, like it's been a sec, I suppose. But there was definitely scary moments. I think that's a mystery thriller, and the way the story unfolds, it becomes a horror in that way. So I think it's not really like I don't want to say it's not intentionally scary because it's supposed to be, but I think that the way the story unfolds is what makes it scary at times. So I do think like when when Archer is walking through the house, that's a very tense scene. I wasn't like scared, but I was like kind of like tense, I suppose. Like I don't know what to, or when like when it keeps knocking and she goes outside and it, like very quickly goes across and it like takes you a second to like recalculate where you're at, like recalibrate. Like that, like you never know when somebody could run at you. Like like in Smile. Like I mean, literally in this
Right.
movie, somebody runs at her. Like it just was daylight. Kind of
Mhm.
kills the scare a little bit, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
but so I think this movie probably did it the best with scaries. I like Disturb, Bring Her Back.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like I'm trying to think.
You,
I can't think of any right now. Really, together
yeah.
maybe a little bit.
You actually reminded me, Caleb, of something I did want to bring up. They just never explained that door knocking, by the way.
I was just about to say, yeah. Do
It
they
was
Who's
have
no, it
the
was
cop?
Archer. It was Archer
Or
How the
not?
hell
No,
is
it was
Archer
Archer. It was Archer.
because
teleporting away from the
He's
camera
not teleporting. He's running.
that quickly?
Oh yeah, he's spry.
No
she took a sec.
shot.
She
He's
went.
like
Didn't she
60
go to go?
years old.
Didn't she
He
go to grab something
vandalized
from
it.
the drawer first, and then she goes to the door?
it,
Yeah,
there
But
is
then,
a
but then
there
there's another really loud
yeah.
knock.
I thought she goes to the
Like
drawer
But she doesn't
second.
like
he just
swing
like
it
takes a
open right after.
couple steps away and then yells, "What the?" And then runs out there and he's just not there.
He probably hid behind a bush or something. She didn't look very well. She just walked
I'll
down the
hide behind your
sidewalk.
bush.
Haven't you ever ding dong ditch?
Connor's face was like, "What?" Yes, I've ding dong dished. It just felt, I don't know.
I
Oh,
haven't.
That
Crime,
just
okay.
felt like
Bad
crime,
another,
boy.
that just,
crime.
shit. That just felt like another scene to me that was literally just added to add horror. And it was just kind of like, ooh, there's no one there. Ooh, like and the knock. That's another thing I've always talked about with jump scares when they just like make the loudest noise physically possible. So like if you don't jump, like your body is going to jump because it's so loud. Your ears can't like it's gonna get you. So like scenes like that are always like, I want you to scare me and not just blast my ears so loud that yeah, I'm gonna jump, but it's not scary, which I mean,
That's the
so
theater experience, man.
it happens at
This is
home
just Tyler
too.
defending himself.
What?
This is just Tyler
Oh.
defending himself. Dude, they're
Dude,
supposed to scare you.
Yeah,
Not that you're wrong, but I'm just saying
there's
it's like
transitions that will get me sometimes, just
yeah,
out of nowhere.
or
They'll
just
just
like a
move to
door
a new scene. I'm
closing.
like, what the hell?
dude didn't in Smile like flip the
What?
camera upside down when they're driving, and you were like, dude, I remember like you just
There-
like how the camera
There's
moved.
been several moments in the theater where like there is no reason for me to jump at all, and I still jump at something. I'm really bad.
You're just
at horror
always ready,
movies.
Tyler. You're just always
Always.
ready. That's what it is.
I try to sit by you every time we see a horror movie because it's so much more fun.
I did want to ask you guys a question. If you guys had to pick one person, who do you think did the best performance in this movie?
Brolin.
I would
Brolin?
pick Brolin.
I don't know if it's a
Roland and
question.
Garner.
That well, just
Okay.
I don't know if I'm biased because his story was my favorite too, but maybe his acting was why I was so invested in his story. So
Well, because like Connor mentioned, like in the time that Julia had, she's incredible. So
I
like
agree.
you could
Yeah,
still have
she's a good
been
actress.
better with your performance, despite having like Benedict Wong was pretty good with his time too. Like
I would agree with that.
they all did pretty good with their time. I mean, it just kind of depends. But yeah, I mean it's kind of easy to say Josh since he was essentially became the main character. But I don't know. I was just curious if you guys if anyone
I'll
had
take Alden.
the
for
take
the
there.
punch,
Interesting.
Apologies.
just for the punch.
Interesting. I remember
I
early on when
I
he first showed
cannot
up and we were
believe
like,
that
when
happened.
he first showed up at the bar the first time in Justine's story, and we were like, man, this guy's
This
awesome.
guy's
Then
gonna
you
be
find out
so
he's just
cool,
cheating on his wife. We're like, oh man, this is getting bad.
dude.
We
But
like
I'm
this
telling
guy.
you, I don't remember the
He
last
didn't
time
want
I
to
laughed.
break.
Actually, I do. I was
No,
gonna
they
say I don't
weren't.
remember the last time
Didn't
I
he? Didn't
laughed
he
that
say
hard.
that?
Yeah, he said that he was
He
lying.
He was
lied.
lying, yeah.
I
Well,
don't. I was gonna
I
say
trusted
that
him.
I don't remember the last time I laughed that hard at a horror movie when he just socked the guy after he got pricked. But then I
Crazy.
literally got mentally
From
flashbanged with Jack Quaid's
Companion,
face from Companion.
Oh my gosh, that's
dude.
That I got
Tyler
yeah.
and I were dangerously laughing at that scene for
Oh
like
my
at
God.
least 5 minutes after the scene in
Oh my.
Companion, dude. And
Because
people
anytime I
around
saw
us,
Jack Quaid's face, I just started bursting out laughing.
Tyler, edit the video and put that facial expression
oh
on the
man.
footnote. Not
See if
Well,
I
the
can
yeah,
video.
find it. It's like a 2 second clip in the
it's
entire
so
movie.
quick. Yeah. Uh,
Rent it.
I'm glad we agree it's Josh. I mean, I just think I can't remember who said it that this is his best movie. I think it was Caleb.
It was Caleb. He was
I
wrong.
don't know if
That
it's
is
his
Agree.
correct.
best, but it's definitely it shows you why they went out and got an actor like Josh Brolin. I mean, once again, I know Pedro couldn't make it, but like, oh no, we have to get Josh Brolin. Like, that's not something you're upset about. Like, Josh Brolin is a powerhouse of an actor. He's
I
an
think Pedro would have been terrible in this role. I think would
I
have been
love Pedro and
so.
Pedro supremacy. So
I love Pedro too, but I think he would have been so weird. And it would have been way more reserved. Like
Dude,
Archer, Archer is like a very upfront and disgruntled character, and I feel like Pedro would have been more reserved than I would have
Pedro
hoped.
nails that in Freaky Tales. He's super upfront and
Yeah,
confident.
I just feel like Brolin is way better, is a better
Or
choice.
The Last of Us in the first.
Yeah.
dude, Pedro should have
He
been
has
in this
moments.
movie, and Josh Brolin should have just been Mr. Fantastic.
Wow, nope.
Good trade off. Good
No,
trade off.
terrible trade.
Who wins? Who says
That
no?
is a horrible trade.
I say no.
That's actually what happens in Fantastic Four too, by the way, with Julia
Okay,
Garner's.
we're done.
Stop.
Let's dig ourselves out of
Can
this
we get an
hole.
origin story for Silver Surfer, please?
Stop talking.
We've gone on a lot of
Stop,
tangents
stop,
here.
stop.
Uh,
Can I raise something to the group?
Oh,
Yeah.
please do.
I don't know how much you guys follow the Oscars, but at this point in the year, usually we should have a couple nominees that are guaranteed for Best Picture. Sinners, I think that's a gimme. I think that's gonna get nominated.
hmm
Other than that, and this movie, again, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think it's gonna get nominated, regardless of how we feel about it. I just think the reception's there. There's
This
eight
is a
more
Caleb
movies,
question.
but there's 8 more movies that
I'm
need
in
to
on
be
this too,
nominated.
pal.
How do we feel about that? How do we feel about, is there any other movies that came out already? Do we think F1's a sneaky
I was
pick?
gonna say
No.
Oh,
F1.
There's no way.
please give F1
I think
a
F1 can be
nomination.
discussed.
It can be discussed for cinematography,
Well,
but
you
Best
know,
Picture,
another
there's no
movie
way.
that I think could get some sort of nod is Warfare. I think
Yes, thank you.
Warfare had
I'm glad you said it.
It could.
a ton of incredible. I mean,
Should win sound
from the
design.
visuals, but the camera work of Warfare is nuts.
It
Like
should win sound design easy.
it should win sound design.
Say that again?
Yeah,
You are implemented straight into that story. Like that.
yeah.
That movie is incredible. Outside of those, I would be curious to see if a movie like
Superman.
no,
Tyler's like,
No.
yep, Superman should
Superman
win
is
Best
never
Picture.
getting mentioned. No superhero movie is getting mentioned.
Even though, honestly, if you really looked at like the biggest movies and like their impact on like culture, Superman should be nominated. But
All right.
I don't know how you
Nominated
guys
for
would
culture.
personally. I don't
Let's
know
get it
how you
done.
guys would personally nominate like Oscar winning films
No.
because like if you're
Superhero movies are tough.
specifically going off your favorite movies of the year, a lot of people would have that in their top
It-
5 to 10 favorite movies of the year.
That's why we're not on the committee. That's
It's-
why we're not on
I
it.
think it's
For
difficult.
that exact reason.
I think it's difficult to take
Good
fair
one,
enough.
Matthew.
Fair enough.
into
This is why I
debate,
don't
but,
watch the Oscars because it's they don't agree with me perfectly to a T.
Connor, another movie I'd be interested in is The Life of Chuck. The Life of Chuck had some
Oh,
pretty great camera
That's a
work.
pull.
It had a weird,
Really,
rollout where it got.
well, the problem is it didn't get as much attention as
Yeah.
I think they thought they were going to get. They kind of advertised it really strangely. It was only in select theaters, but that movie has some very good visuals as well. Life of Chuck's got. I mean, I think of the first act specifically with the sky when they're looking up at the sky. Like that's some really good visuals. So I I do think this movie will definitely get a nod as well. And then, like you said, Sinners, there's literally
Uh,
no way
It's
it
just so
doesn't.
hard for
Do
horror
you
movies to get nominated because horror gets slept
It
on so
is.
much, and The Substance even getting nominated last year was groundbreaking. And
Yeah.
I just don't know if Weapons gets a. I think it's good. I don't know if it's going to get the reception that it should get from critics and top like the committee. I don't know, but you're going to see movies like Wicked 2 get nominated 100%.
do you think Mickey 17 will get
No.
any buzz on
Bong
there or
Joon
no
Ho could, but
for
it's a
this?
comedy, and comedies are
Pattinson might
auto
get one
eliminated.
for his performance, but other than that,
Um,
I
you're
think
going to see
one
Bruce
battle after
Springsteen.
another. One battle after another is a gimme.
Yes, I think so
That's
too.
Paul
Because
Thomas
That's
EA
Anderson.
that's an
and
Oscar bait
you know,
movie. Like that movie's being made
Yes.
for the
like
Jay Kelly
the Bruce
probably. The
Springsteen.
George
I've seen
Clooney
Jay
one
Kelly. Yeah,
probably.
or
Until
Jeremy Allen
Dawn.
White is like the best actor of the year. Like I think he's people are saying he might win best actor this year. Jeremy Allen White for
Yeah.
Springsteen. So
Yeah.
that'll probably get nominated. So I
Any
don't know.
biopic, every year there's a biopic that's up, whether you like it or
That'll be the
not.
biopic. The one Marty Supreme with Timothy at the end of the
Yeah,
year.
that's a gimme.
We haven't even entered Oscar movie
Marty.
season. Everyone delays their movies to the end of the year so you can have recency bias. It's like how it is. So
It's exactly how it
So
goes. So
so
that's what I
not
fear
Happy
about with
Gilmore.
weapons.
Yeah,
I mean, it has a good
Why not?
release date for it. So
it's
tough, Jack. But
Caleb, you do mention like horror movies can be tough to get that nod, but like I think we've all kind of mentioned it. Like this year hasn't been like there's been some really good movies, but there have not been like some insanely stellar like film. Like I could see them looking at movies like this
yeah,
and at
it
least
could
giving
sneak
it.
in.
And there's also a lot of
Give
talks
it a
that
look.
they're going to be like changing a lot of the rules for the judges. Like they're gonna be
making them actually watch the
be
movie.
required.
Yes,
They'll all
thank
have
God.
to. Well, that's why Dune was getting.
Oscars
They're
is-
like, I thought Dune 1 was kind of boring, so I didn't watch Dune Part 2. I was like, what? Like that cannot happen. But uh, with all that other stuff getting involved, it definitely makes me wonder like what movies will get talked about and where they'll get kind of placed. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see which movies get a nod. I would love to see Warfare definitely get one.
Yeah,
Can
I
I give
think
one movie a shout before?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to transition, but Spike Lee has a movie this
highest to
month,
lowest,
Highest to Lowest.
I'm excited to see that.
Just a thought. It's Denzel and it's
It's
Spike Lee.
A24.
It's gonna be pretty damn good. I mean,
Yeah.
just wanted to give that a
Oh,
shout because
A24, it's guaranteed.
it's
No.
because it's limited
Lock it in.
release. So you guys gotta if
Well,
you're gonna
it's-
see it in theaters, you got 2 weeks when it comes
Mhm.
out, and that's
Yeah.
it.
It
They're
depends on
taking
what
out.
A24 tries to push because it could be a couple of different movies. So they have a ton of movies
It's
coming out.
true.
It'll be interesting to see if Sorry Baby gets some nods as well. People have been eating
Oh,
that
yeah, I
movie
do see that,
up,
yeah. That
talking
could be
about
it.
how good that is as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ones that definitely get a nod. It'll be curious. I'm curious to see if this movie even gets mentioned. But ultimately, I could see it at least getting talked about. But at the end of the day, I mean,
I'd be surprised.
there's only so many films that get chosen. So, but yeah, there could be some really good ones for sure. Okay, well, does anyone else have any other big points they want to bring up before we kind of swing around to our little reviews here? I don't think I have anything else
I
personally.
think I'm all burned out, boss.
All burned out. Fair enough.
I think I've huffed and puffed quite a bit.
Blow my house
Alright.
down or what?
I'm
Like,
not
what's
going
going
to
on?
blow anybody's house down.
Oh man. Something that's super random and not going to take a very long conversation to have. Apparently, Krager said that this exists in the same universe as Barbarian. Is Bro building a cinematic universe?
The CCU.
He's making a horror cinematic universe.
We saw that already. The Mummy did that, I
Interesting.
think.
Correct.
So
Let's see
I
it.
think
We'll see
I
it
think we've
again.
seen that already.
And there's also been Tyler, you sent me this earlier. There's also been apparently Krager wrote a script for a DCU movie. They just haven't pitched it yet to Gunn. So that's
He's doing
interesting.
Resident Evil. He's not doing that.
He's
doing
doing that.
Resident Evil.
They said
Yes.
it'd be after
Got
that.
that thing
It would
going.
come after Resident Evil. It was for Henchman, which was a Gotham related uh,
Supposed to follow
street
a henchman
crime,
who worked for the Joker and
a
whatnot.
street crime type project. So that'd be interesting to see where he goes after this, other than obviously with Resident Evil as well. But that'd be interesting to see if he gets a nod for that or not, or if they just ignore him. But
Guys, why is he like the evil James
So,
Gunn? Like he just does horror
The
comedy.
evil
but-
James
the
Gunn.
evil James Gunn. That is a crazy.
So wait, so the Resident Evil thing, that's like a brand new because they've made movies before.
No, it's Resident
It's-
Evil
That's like-
16.
It's based off. He talked about it a little in this interview that I listened to today. He said it's very much Evil Dead. It's very much a hack and
Oh, okay.
slash explosive horror. It's nothing like what Warfare was supposed
I
to be
see.
like.
Mm.
And it's not based on any of them. He's never seen one of the movies, any of the Resident Evil movies. So it's not based on any of that. He
That is
loved the
bold.
games though. So he
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the good news. So there you go.
Yeah, that is good. That's
Yeah, I
fun.
didn't know anything about that, so
Right.
that's interesting.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and do our
We did get some
spoiler-free
current events in.
our our spoiler-free recap and a rating out of 5. I'm just gonna go based off my screen here. So Caleb, you want to
Oh,
kick?
of course you picked me first.
You're just in the top
You
left.
always pick me.
You're just in the top left. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay,
You
that's
always
fine.
pick
It's fine.
me.
That's how the dominoes
That's
fell,
all
buddy.
right. Okay. All right. So I said, in summary, simply put, this was a great time. I liked Kreger's direction with this movie, and the fact that it's an original script kind of makes me like it a little bit more. It has some of the best tension and horror this year for me, and I thought it had some commanding jump scares. I wasn't turned off by the ridiculously silly ending like we talked about, but I just kind of have this looming problem that I thought the third act was kind of disappointing. That and the characters not having enough time to flourish for me were the main problems, but still had fun in a really packed theater. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5, so I thought it was great.
All right, I'll go ahead and go next. It's not often that I get excited about a horror movie, and the trailers really had me hooked. However, as the horror hater, I can say that I was not exactly pleased by the way this movie played out. The trailer had me a lot more tense than the movie itself did. I felt that the ending was pretty lackluster and just didn't give me as much horror as I'd wanted. As far as to say that this just doesn't really feel like a horror movie for a majority of the runtime for me. So there are still some very good acting performances, though, some great camera work. They build suspense at times, and there's a particular scene in this movie that really blew me away in terms of horror. So I ended up right down the middle, right at a 2.5. It's fine. Jack, you're up.
For me, this movie had a fantastic setup. I was invested right off the bat. It had some genuinely quality acting from multiple people, and was oddly funny, which was a an interesting surprise. But overall, it kind of left me a little underwhelmed. That wasn't a huge issue for me, as there were really quality horror aspects, gore, camera work, honestly, sound design and score we didn't really talk about, but I also appreciate it as well. It just the story was kind of undercooked for me, and it left me wanting more. And so for me, that kind of brought it down a little bit, and I'm at a 3.5 because I really enjoyed my time.
Fair enough. All right, Connor.
In this genre-bending horror, mystery, dark comedy thriller that has John Carpenter meet David Fincher's style, that's mixed with some of the best camera work you're going to see all year, some fantastic performances, a little bit to be desired in the third act, but overall, I had a fantastic time with Weapons. I knew very little going in, as I mentioned. I knew as little as possible as someone can know other than the title. I'm usually a harsh critic. I've been on this show, this is my second time now. First time around, I gave Superman a 4.5 out of 5,
Notorious
which I
hater.
stand by. And
Mhm.
for Weapons, I will also give it a 4.5 out of 5. I had a joyous time in the movie theater this time.
There you go.
This guy
Man, this
just loves
show.
movies. He
No, he
just loves
just
movies when he goes.
just
I
something
had a
about
good
the show.
time.
It just makes him happy. I don't know. Tyler, you're up.
I thought the first half of this movie did a great job setting it up. We with the whole intensity with the mystery thriller, the acting was very well done, but the second half of this movie took a really deep stumble for me. They tried to do too much with the comedy, which I did laugh at, but it normalized make horror movies scary again. This movie doesn't really add that, and for me, I also have this at a 2.5 as well.
We are all across the board.
I
Nothing wrong
love
with
it.
that.
It's
I,
great.
I was gonna
Wait,
say,
quickly.
yeah.
Eddington, I don't really know how anyone felt about it. Just quickly, I don't want to, I don't want to start a whole argument about Eddington.
Mhm.
Nobody liked it?
I was the one
I
that
didn't
saw
Me?
it.
see it.
Didn't see
No,
Okay.
it.
I'm
It
not
was
seeing it.
bad.
I'm not seeing it yet. I'm gonna see it as soon as it comes out to streaming because I
it was
want
only
to.
Caleb, and he hated
I
it.
They were stupid.
I had a great
Connor,
time.
did you saw it? Yeah, you liked it.
Dude,
Yeah, well, I
Connor
comment.
Connor goes to the movie and he actually has fun.
No, I commented on.
I,
I
Can you
well,
commented
imagine
on.
okay.
that life?
I commented
He
on your
actually
review. I said
enjoys
something like.
film.
I said something like, "I'm glad people are liking this more than I am because I
Yeah, I
was."
saw that. And here's my thing. I'm usually a harsh critic. If you look at some of my stuff, I
Yeah.
watched what did I watch? I watched Better Man, which people loved.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Robbie Williams movie. Didn't
Yeah.
like it. Just straight up
Yeah.
didn't have a good time. I was bored most of the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't it's you guys just catch me on good days. Like I don't if you
I
had me
You
with
seem like a
Fantastic
jolly
Four,
guy.
it would have been a different story. I had some notes
Yeah, I
about
saw that.
Fantastic Four, but it's a different story.
Hopefully
Yeah.
next time we'll get you on maybe like a super controversial movie and we'll
If
have
you
one.
get me on one, it's gonna be I'm gonna crash out. Like I'm just gonna like lose my mind on this podcast.
That would be
Dude,
awesome.
we gotta pick dude, War of
Dude,
Hopefully it's a
Worlds.
Tarantino movie.
War of the Connor's like 5 out of 5.
I had a great time with this. I don't see the hate.
Highest to lowest. Here we come.
Uh,
Here we go. Give it a
that's
shot.
awesome. All right. Well, we will go ahead and wrap up there. Connor, I just want to thank you again for being here. It's
Thank
always a
you
good
guys.
time for sure. Once again, we know you'll be back. We got to have you on
Absolutely.
again for another movie. As always, we really appreciate you guys checking out the episode. Please continue to check out our other forms of social media content as we'll be posting clips from this episode and just other clips that we just make throughout the week. So, let us know in the comments as well your thoughts on the movie if you guys loved it or if you hated it. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So, on that note, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.